So I'd like to introduce Jane Grogan to officially open our ceremonies. She's the Executive Vice President at Biogen and a Head of Research.
So thank you, Amy, and obviously thank you, Stan, and for all of you for being here today. It is thrilling to open the second colloquium of the n-Lorem event. We had the first one last year. At that stage last year, I was 2 days into my new job as head of research at Biogen. And so getting to know Stan and some of the community and families and children was a real eye-opener to me, and I'll go into that in a moment. I'd like to say it's great to see so many people. I think we were about 100 last year. I'm hearing numbers of around 500 registered this year. So I think just the importance of coming together as a community to be able to highlight the needs of the community, the patients and the families that need these really, really important treatments, and getting that message out and building that foundation is something that I know Stan wakes up to every day, and each and every one of you as well. So I just wanted to go back a little bit and say, I'm a scientist and a drug developer. That's what I have trained in my whole life. That is what I started to do. It is really, really hard to make drugs, and it's really hard to understand what the target is that you need to go after in any disease. It's really hard then to develop the right drug to attack that disease. And then the really hard thing is getting that through clinical trial to FDA approval and then to launch. And we have an ecosystem in which we have developed this path from idea to clinical trial to launch in patient and reimbursement that is very successful, has led to really great products, and but it's really difficult. And I think as we think, and you all know of ultra-rare diseases, how truly difficult that really is. And so when I think about what happens when you make drugs, hang on, I just want to back up and say the other reason I have joined Biogen, and I'm really thrilled to be in place 1 year in as their head of research, is that Biogen has a history of taking on and pioneering really difficult diseases with new modalities in which there's nothing in front of it that really has charted a course. It's really had to charter its course in new areas. We're excited about things like Leqembi and Alzheimer's disease, in which it's the first time neurologists of patients with Alzheimer's disease have something that they can give their patients. And the feedback to the scientific community is that we're learning through biomarkers, clinical trial and experience, how it really works, what's missing, what the next drugs need to look like. And that's how the field we're in really unfolds as well. But also, we've really championed the space in rare diseases, and together with our dear partners and collaborators at Ionis is developing the first ASOs for a rare genetic version of ALS with our Qalsody drug, and then also SMA with Spinraza as well. And these have been really hard to develop, but it's created a path forward for us when we think about how do we set up patient directories so that we can find families and we can track diseases? How do we know how to target the right physicians? And all of that knowledge is allowing us to really think about the pipeline of other molecules that I'm really excited about in our discovery portfolio that we really hope we can bring forward to, not only ASOs, but also some, true genetic therapies as well. I do want to go back to, though, and remind ourselves that these are long journeys, and my experience in making drugs, which is a privilege I feel I wake up to every day, is that there are kind of three things I've learned. You need patience and perseverance. A lot of what we do is built on decades long of academic insight before we can even bring it into more of a industry biotech setting to develop. Great game-changing drugs come when the worlds of science collide and disciplines collide together. So when you think about cancer and immunology, and it was really 2 decades, probably even 3 decades ago now, that someone noticed somewhere that if you looked at a biopsy of a tumor for a mutation, around that tumor was the immune system, and the immune system was having a role. Meanwhile, the immunologists, of which I am trained in, were working out that, oh, T cells, immune cells could act in a certain way, and when that field came together, it really opened up a whole new therapeutic paradigm with cancer immunology and cancer immunotherapy treatments. You can think about the same thing when we think about biomarkers. The more we go into diseases of the brain, diseases of neuromuscular, the more we're developing tools with which we can understand the disease, track the patients, come up with better biomarkers, and then hopefully apply those across all diseases, all the way down, and take those insights into really ultra-rare diseases as well. And then the other thing is, and this will sound obvious, but biology now is anchored in understanding human disease. And decades ago, the biology was really anchored in how do we cure a mouse in a laboratory, right? And we understood a lot of pathways in diseases that way, but the tools we have in place today are allowing us to understand the genetic drivers of disease, understand who those patients are, and then really think about how we're going to tackle those with game-changing drugs. And this is really where the field of ASO has taken off, and I truly believe it's only going to open up more opportunities for patients. And the third thing is, breakthroughs in new medicines and pioneering technology takes teamwork. It's not like one company somewhere can put up its walls and say, we're just going to take over this and do it ourselves. You need academics, you need patient advocacy groups, you need insights and support and feedback from FDA and health authorities. You need champions like Stan who are really helping us stay focused on the diseases in front of us and the importance of what we're doing as well. And so I believe that the field that we're in biotech is really getting better and better at working together to champion new areas. The space that needs to catch up is how do you bring that collision of ideas and insights into our regulatory world so that you can get drugs developed more quickly, and you can think about the platform that we have with ASOs, for example, and learnings from that we can help the FDA understand, the health authorities, CMS, European authorities, to appreciate that what we're learning sometimes in first patient dose is enough for us to get approval when we get the right biomarkers and right endpoints measured. And I think this is why we're all here together today. These are the kind of collaborative advances we need to keep pushing on, because we all want safe drugs, we all want efficacious drugs, but there's a sweet spot where maybe an efficacious drug, safe drug, doesn't require a very large phase 3 clinical trial. It should build on the knowledge of the platform. And this is game-changing, and it's really important that we hold hands together as a community and really stand behind the possibility of getting there so that we can get down to treating one patient with one drug and having that patient have a life game-changing experience and cure, hopefully, without having to spend 10 years investment on a standard clinical trial practice. And so I'm really excited that we're here together. I'm really excited by what Stan's championing. And I thank you all. I thank you all for coming together, for the hard work you do. I know these are really tough diseases for those of you here, families with your children. And holding hands together, I think, will really move the field forward. And so with that, I'm very excited to hand it over to Stan, who really opened the meeting, and I'm really excited by the speakers we have today, and I'll be around for drinks afterwards if anyone wants to chat.